Welcome to this week's episode of Humans in 5.
We're both doing our best to live that academic life. While we often find ourselves agonizing over the details for that one lecture or preparing for our next conference presentation, conducting and sharing research is obviously a major factor in our careers.
As we've noted before, academics spend a lot of time writing, sharing, and reviewing articles to make sure that all of our research gets out there to other scientists. We generally do so by writing our results up as journal articles that get sent out to our peers who review the content to make sure it's scientifically sound. Once this review is over, our papers get released as articles and are accessed by others interested in our work.
Now, this process is hypothetically straightforward, but some questions have risen over the years about how these journal articles and papers may be received or discussed by both researchers writing the work and those more broadly in the field. Mark Lerkenmuller of the University of Mannheim and collaborators at Yale University and Harvard Medical School were particularly interested to see if the different ways research was presented by different authors might shape how well received a paper might be down the line.
First, Lerkenmuller and others noticed that sometimes the results presented in an article were written in a manner that seemed a little lofty. Quite a few authors seemed to be overselling their results and using high-impact language like revolutionary and amazing, when in fact the work was not always what the language might suggest.
Second, Lerkenmuller was curious to see if the gender of the author or investigators involved in an article might shape how the article was written. He thought that men and women might talk about their work in different ways, and that might impact the type of language used in academic papers.
Lerkenmuller and colleagues then set out to see whether men or women were more likely to use high-impact words like astounding or robust. He looked at the titles and abstracts of papers to see whether papers with men or women as PIs or authors were similarly likely to use this kind of language. They focused on 100,000 clinical research articles and millions of life science articles.
Overall, they found that papers with men as PIs or lead authors were more likely to use these high-impact words. The catch they also noticed was that the research in all of these cases was of similar quality. The use of positive, impactful language was not necessarily associated with more unique or innovative work. So next, they wondered if this use of high-impact language would indeed translate to greater sharing of research down the line.
One major way to detect if research has had a broader impact in the field is to look at the number of citations or references a paper has after its release. Lerkenmuller's team noted that the papers with that high-impact language were more likely to be cited overall. This means that papers written by men were generally getting a wider reach than papers written by women, despite being of a similar quality.
So how does this happen? Women in many parts of the world are encultured to not make waves when writing about themselves. We're often told to be metered and cautious in how we present information in professional spheres. Even if a woman is inclined to use high-impact language, many are discouraged and made to feel like they are inappropriately bringing attention to themselves.
It's also worth noting that unconscious biases could further compound which articles are read and shared. So when combined with a reader bias for high-impact language, the research presented by women could be getting overshadowed and isn't always getting promoted.
Now, we can't say we know the right solution. We could either encourage women to adopt more aggressive writing styles or encourage men to be more metered in their writing up when it comes to their research. Overall, we need to keep a sharp eye out for not overselling work and making sure that all strong research is shared and used, no matter who writes it.
We hope you don't get too swept away by our flowery language, and we'll see you next time on Humans in 5.
And don't forget to subscribe!